Hey, what's going on, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. So let's get right into it. Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama, comes in at a small height at 5'10". That's on the very, very short side for quarterbacks. 204 pounds, 21 years old, junior from Alabama. His stats in 22 included 12 games, a 64.5 completion percentage out of 380 attempts, 3,328 passing yards, 8.8 yards per attempt, 32 passing touchdowns to 5 interceptions, along with 4 rushing touchdowns, so 36 total, a 86.2 quarterback rating that was 6th in the Power 5, and then a 163.2 passer rating. Now, in 2021, his sophomore season, which was his first year starting, he won the Heisman at Alabama with a 66.9 completion percentage, 4,872 passing yards, 47 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, 3 of them being rushing. So 50 touchdowns in his sophomore season out of college. All right, Bryce Young's strengths and weaknesses go as this. His strengths are that he has great poise. He just knows what's going on in the pocket. He can feel good. He can feel pressure well. He knows when to get out of the pocket. He's also a very accurate quarterback, over 65% completion percentage at Alabama. He stays in the pocket well, and he doesn't eject from the pocket too early or too late, and he doesn't rush the play either. Sometimes he will leave a little early, but I think that's more of an extension of the play. He's also really good at leading receivers open, which I like to see when I'm evaluating quarterbacks, leading him to the sideline, or leading receivers to the sideline. He is great at extending plays with his pocket mobility. I'll end up showing that in the film part of the video. He also reads defense as well. I'll also show that evidence in the film part of the video. And then, of course, his college production is a massive strength. He was a Heisman winner, 2-time All-American, and has a ton of accolades to his name. However, weaknesses, of course, he's got a crazy small frame at 5'10", 204 pounds, and a slight build. By a slight build, I mean he's not a big guy. Like, you look at a Kyler Murray who's 5'10", he's built. He's a built quarterback. You look at Russell Wilson, another 5'11" guy. He's a built quarterback. Bryce Young is just not a really built quarterback, and he is a little short. He's on the short end for 5'10". And also, no quarterback that has weighed less than 207 pounds was drafted in the first round. Bryce Young will be the first. He has durability and injury concerns at the next level due to him being 204 pounds, and he had a few minor injuries last year that kind of hurt him a little bit. But the durability and injury concerns at the next level, that's more like if he's gonna get hit, or the more times he's gonna get hit, the more wear and tear on his already smaller frame. That's going to affect him more than somebody like, I don't know, a CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson. Those guys could take a hit, or those guys are just going to end up taking more hits because they're bigger. And we don't know about Bryce Young. And then he may have difficulty throwing over the middle of the field due to his height at 5'10", 204. We've seen a guy like Kyler Murray not be able to see the middle of the field due to his height. He has a good arm, but not a great arm. He doesn't have like an Anthony Richardson type of arm. He throws extremely good from like 50 yards in. Everything from 50 yards in is pretty on the spot, except when you go over 50 yards for him, it'll get a little shaky. It'll be on point, but it'll trail a little bit. It'll die at the end a little bit. And then, of course, as a smaller quarterback, you really want to see that heavy rushing upside for the smaller quarterbacks, but he doesn't really have that upside like Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. Not to say he's not athletic or he has rushing upside, just not to that degree. Here's a great example of Bryce Young's extension of the play. Utah State is going to end up sending a late blitzer here and then a spy on the outside. So Bryce Young's going to have the pocket collapse a little bit with one free blitzer, and then these guys are just not doing anything. These 2 free rushers here, but is still able to end up evading all those guys and get the completion over in the middle of the field. Here's a great example of Bryce Young leading his receivers to the sideline. This is against Kansas State, of course, last year in the Sugar Bowl. So the receiver on the outside is going to end up running a quick fade, and Bryce Young's just going to fit that under the shoulder onto the sideline for an over-the-shoulder catch. So you remember how I was talking about Bryce Young's poise? Well, this is a phenomenal example of that. So all these guys are bearing down Bryce Young. Their noses are down. You can see him looking down, looking down, looking down, looking down. This guy, even the safety, is going to end up blitzing on this play as well. They only have 2 down linemen, so they're trying to free rush. But Bryce Young is going to stand in there with a lot of guys blitzing. You have 6 here. And stands in there and takes a huge hit from the safety blitz. Takes a huge hit, but still manages to complete it over the middle of the field. Bryce Young is absolutely crazy in a clean pocket. As you can see here, there's just nobody within 5 yards of Bryce Young. But Bryce Young's actually going to risk he's going to risk a huge throw here. He's got this receiver wide open here, pretty much. He can fit that in over this defender. But he's going to risk it to number 7. And let's see how it plays out. Oh, that's what I'm talking about with the accuracy. He just fits the ball in right into the end zone. Right exactly where he wants it and where the receiver can only get it. Now, the defender did not turn his hips fast enough to look for the ball. But, I mean, that's just crazy accuracy. Here's another angle of the play. Decides to risk it. Does have a receiving open here. But just a basket catch. I did talk about earlier how his arm strength was good, but not great. Here's an example of when Bryce Young's arm is great. This is in the SEC Championship with a clean pocket. And from the 35-yard line, he's going to be able to fit it in to the 5-yard line. Now, it did, if you can see here a little bit, he slowed down a little bit for this ball. And he did catch it like this, where he had to turn his hips a little bit. Now, but that's not a horrible throw. He's still able to fit it in double coverage versus Lewis Seen and Keely Ringo. All right, while I was watching the Tennessee game, I noticed kind of this. So here's a play where Alabama has basically 2 wide open guys here. But Bryce Young looks this one down, doesn't see it, but still has the tight end wide open here. But kind of does like a weird back pedal and, does get hit, wrapped. He still makes the completion because Tennessee's defense just kind of was not playing on this play. He had so many people open. But, in the middle of the field, is he able to see these guys? Is he really able to see them from the pocket? I mean, I thought he saw him, but he's wide open. He can make that throw right now. He can make this throw right now. And he even calls for the ball, but decides to backpedal a little bit. That's just a wonky play that I saw. All right, so you may be asking, what if a team sends a blitzer on the outside or a cornerback blitz? Well, let's see how Bryce Young responds. Ooh. Is able to slip out of that one and run for the first down. Here's another angle of the play. Fortunately, Bryce Young was looking that way, but he's able to slip out of there, and I like that body control for a quarterback is impressive because he's able to basically like a boxer. And I like a lot of quarterbacks that are taller probably aren't able to do that. They'll end up taking that hit. Bryce Young able to get a first down on that play. You want to see NFL level control at the line of scrimmage. We see Bryce Young make a check at the line. So this defender pretty much sells out the rush, and so does this defender on the hard count that Bryce Young does. He notices it, makes the check at the line, tells them that, these guys are 100% blitzing. They reset, and then he, feels the pressure, is already looking towards that side. They're going to twist, but he's still able to find a wide open receiver in the middle of the field, but dude drops it. So great check of the line. That should have been a 10-yard, 15-yard completion. And this is another play of the height concern and of the middle of the field. So Bryce Young, pocket collapsing. He is just not able to see anything and ends up throwing it over one of the defensive linemen. Throw comes up heavily short. Bigger quarterbacks able to get that over the middle of the field to stay in the pocket for longer, but Bryce Young's height just kind of limits him on that play, and he's having to throw over, kind of shoot over the offensive lineman. All right, so 2 really popular player comparisons for Bryce Young are Drew Brees and Russell Wilson, and I kind of like the comparison of those 2 players kind of blended together because Bryce Young has, the height and the weight and the extension of playability that Russell Wilson does and that you see him do. Because, Russell Wilson is another shorter quarterback. They weighed in at the exact same amount at the combine. But Bryce Young does not have that athletic upside that Russell Wilson does. He doesn't have the play style that he does, where he, will eject from the pocket and run in the middle of the field. I don't think that Bryce Young even has as special an arm as Russell Wilson did out of Wisconsin either. And also, they have different frames. Russell Wilson's a more built quarterback and has a stronger lower body. But then you look at a guy like Drew Brees, where he doesn't have the same height and weight as Drew Brees does, but they have a similar frame. They're both thinner quarterbacks, and they have similar play styles. They have similar accuracy. Not many people remember, but Drew Brees was very sneaky athletic in his Charger days and in his Purdue days. He ran for 500 yards and a few touchdowns in his senior season at Purdue when they run the Rose Bowl. And they also have, similar poise in the pocket as well. And that's why Drew Brees was able to stay in the league for so long. But then they have the differences of the frame of, 5'10", 204, 6'1", 213. And then Drew Brees also had way more turnovers than Bryce Young did. Bryce Young had 5 picks and 7 interceptions. Meanwhile, Drew Brees had over 10 interceptions in pretty much every single year of college other than one. And then when he got to the NFL level, also was a double-digit interception guy as well. But if I were to give a grade for Bryce Young, I would give him a 6.5 for a late first-round pick. Now, I think you could definitely convince me of him being a mid-first round pick, but I think his potential is heavily limited due to his size concerns. I mean, you can only do so much with the body you're given. But his potential, I have him as a solid NFL quarterback. I think he could potentially be a 30-plus touchdown guy, maybe Pro Bowl at the highest, but he's more of a unicorn quarterback. We haven't really seen a guy this short and this slender be successful in the NFL. And then, of course, teams likely to draft. The Texans at 2, the Colts at 4, the Panthers at 1. But let me know your thoughts about Bryce Young. Let me know another player I should break down. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.